Right, let's all... So, top tip number one is what kind of guitar do you want to buy? Now, this is actually the most difficult bit. You have to just work out what kind of guitar you're going to want to get. So, pretty broad thing, but there's 3 questions I'm going to set that you have to answer before you can buy a guitar. First question, is the person you're buying for, or are you right or left-handed? Question the second, what kind of guitar do you want to buy? So, basically, do you want to buy them an acoustic or an electric is the first thing you're going to ask yourself. Now, electrics are easier to play, but they're much more expensive. If you're buying it for yourself and you're a bit older, have a bit of cash, and you want to play electric guitar eventually, sure, get an electric guitar. They sound cool, they're awesome, it just costs a bit more. Acoustics are cheaper, I think that's their main advantage. Also, if you buy a steel strung acoustic, it will teach you how to play a bit better because they're harder to play, they're physically harder to play, so it builds up that strength in the fingers a little bit more. But obviously, conversely, that can be a problem, it can put people off. So the main thing then that I have a discussion is what kind of acoustic do you want to get, because you can get steel strung or you can get nylon strung. Nylon strung is a classical, and then steel strung is called a folk guitar often, but it's an everything else guitar. I would advise getting a steel strung one if you can get a decent one, because, as I said, it will build up that strength in the fingers a bit quicker. And most kids I speak to don't want to play classical. Now, if you want to play classical or they want to play classical, obviously get a classical guitar, but if not, try and get a steel strung one because they are better for their fingers and they sound better. They also have thinner necks, which is slightly easier to play. Question the third is going to be, what size do you want to get? Basic rule here, if they're 12 or under, get a 3/4 size. If they're above 12, get a full size. So those are the 3 questions. Are they right or left-handed? Okay, that's going to help you pick a guitar. A lot more guitars are right-handed, so it does help if they are, but it's not a big problem nowadays. Right or left-handed? Second one, do you want an electric or an acoustic? And what kind of acoustic do you want if you're going to get an acoustic for them? And then the third question is what size do you want, which is going to depend on their age, basically, and then secondary also how big they are. But that's the rules, those are the questions, that's the first tip. Let's move on to tip number 2. Hi guys, what I'm going to do now with top tip number 2 is just give you some idea of budget. So budget is number 2. So this guitar retail is about £45. It's absolutely fine. I teach with it, it stays in tune fine, the intonation is okay, and you can play a song on it, you know. Absolutely fine. So that's probably gives you an idea of what I consider a decent budget for a first guitar. Somewhere around £50. Probably I'd say £30 to £50. Now, I have found that if people buy really cheap guitars, usually spending, oh it's a cattail, usually spending less than £30, they often do not get a very good bit of kit. They often are quite flimsy. The real problem is when guitars don't stay in tune, because it really puts kids off, and it puts adults off as well. It puts everyone off if a guitar doesn't stay in tune. So that £30 to £50 budget will get you a solid bit of kit. If you're looking to buy an electric, you're probably going to be looking more in the £100 to £200 range. And if you get those packs that come with an amp, again, it's going to be just above 100. We'll get you a fine guitar and a amp. And then once you get to 150, you'll get a fine guitar and a fine amp. And then if you go a little bit higher, you'll probably get a slightly better guitar or a slightly better amp. They're absolutely fine, to be honest. All of those are absolutely fine. I would probably spend about 150, having had a little bit of a look on the internet. So £30 to £50 will get you a solid acoustic, whichever one you want to get, left-handed, right-handed, blah 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 from the first point, and then somewhere between 100 and 200 will get you an electric guitar that you want. If you have more to spend, fantastic, spend more, but that's roughly what you're looking at. Let's move on to point number 3. You ready, Kat? Okay. Third point is going to be get a guitar that either you want to play if it's for you, or the person who you're buying it for wants to play it. If you're buying it for a kid and they say, I really want a pink guitar, get them a pink guitar. As long as it follows the first 2 of my tips, go for it. So that's my tip number 3. Make sure it is a guitar that the person you're buying it for would really want because it looks cool, or that if you're buying it for yourself, you think it looks cool. Don't get one just because you think you should get one like that. Get one that looks awesome. Okay, tip the 4th. Tip number 4 is going to be go into a music shop to buy. You'll get a better bit of kit than if you went into a toy shop. And 2, they'll be able to advise you and help you. And even if that doesn't happen, you'll at least be able to play it and hold it and make sure it's comfortable and make sure it looks good. Point number 3, make sure it looks good. And I suppose, make sure it's comfortable for you. They're all pretty comfortable, though, guitars, but some guitars, particularly full-size ones, can have a bigger body, and so if you're smaller, can be less comfortable, and then vice versa. If you're bigger, sometimes a slightly bigger guitar is more comfortable. So that's like a extra reason, a kind of third reason, but the first 2 points really hold out. It's also really cool to support your local shop. So that's my tip number 4. Top tip number 4 is going to be go into a music shop for those 2 reasons. Okay, maybe 3 reasons. Okay, let's move on to point 5. Final point. Top tip number 5. Now, I always wanted to do this as a top 5, and then I struggled for ages trying to think of a 5th tip because the top 4 all just made so much sense. But I think I've come up with one. What I'm going to say is tip 5 is going to be try and get all the accessories you're going to need when you get the guitar, which is usually going to be picks, number 1, and then you're also thinking like things like tuner, strap, Allen keys if it's an electric, cables if it's an electric. Also spare strings can also be useful, really good thing to pick up at the time. Again, it just depends on your budget a little bit, how many of those things you can get. If you can get them all, then that's really awesome. And that's the 5th tip of my top 5. So that's the end of my top 5 list. Please like, comment, subscribe, and all those things if you enjoyed the video. Share it, that's the other thing I was trying to think of. Hopefully it'll help people. This is a video I'm putting together as much because I teach guitar and I teach a lot of kids who are just starting out and their parents contact me and that's really, and say what kind of guitar should I get, and that's who it's really for. Okay, so but if you find it useful, if you've been playing guitar a while, hopefully if you follow those top 5 tips it will still be useful. Just your budget might be different and you might be much more specific, saying I want a Fender Strat, I want a Gibson Les Paul, all of those things, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching, and hopefully next time I do a video like this the cat won't be annoying me quite so much, which is why there's been lots of cuts, and she's even coming back to annoy me again. So I will say goodbye from me and from my little Tinker. See you soon, bye bye.